number 5? Any bit of number 5? Going 1. Right, any bit of number 6? Part 1. Right, okay. So 6 part 1 is the square root of x plus 5 equals 5 minus root x. Okay, so there's 2 square roots. There's one here, there's one here. So you put one on the left, one on the right. They're already on the left and on the right. So then you square both sides. Okay, squaring here, you just get x plus 5. Squaring here, you have to square the first term, 25, twice the first by the second, which is 10 root x, and square the last, so you're squaring minus root x, so squaring minus root x, and it becomes plus x. Okay, there's still a square root sign, so you have to isolate that on its own, on one side, everything else over. So I'll leave x plus 5, right, minus 25, and a minus x when it comes over equals minus 10 root x. Is that okay? So I just isolated that square root sign on its own on the right hand side. Tidying up on the left hand side, I just end up with minus 20 equals minus 10 root x. Okay, you want to get rid of that square root sign, so you square both sides. So squaring minus 20, you get plus 400. Squaring at this side, you get square 10, you get minus 10, you get plus 100. Square root x and you just get x. So that means x is equal to 4. Is that okay? Yes?
I'm just wondering how you got minus 10 root x.
You know when you're squaring out this bracket, square the first term, twice the first by the second term, square the last, as in it's like 5 minus root x multiplied by 5 minus root x. So you know, if you multiply out brackets, you get 5 times 5 minus root x times 5 minus root x, and if you multiply in there, you get 25 minus 5 root x, multiplying in by root x, minus 5 root x, minus by minus is a plus, root x by root x is the x. And then you put those together and you get minus 10 root x. Is that okay? Any other questions? Right, any other part to number 6? The last, part 3 and the last part. Right, okay. Part 3, so says square root of x plus 7 plus root x equals 7. Okay, so there's 2 square roots, right? The rule says put one on each side, one on the left, one on the right. So I leave the square root of x plus 7 to be here. Right, I leave this 7 over here and I'll bring over that root x and it becomes a minus root x. Okay, so then I have one square root on each side, so then I square both sides. So square, and you get x plus 7. Here, square the first, 49. Twice the first by the second, which would be 14 root x. 2 by 7 is 14, by x is root x. Right, and then square the last, so it becomes a plus x. Square root x, you get x. Okay? There's still a square root sign, so you leave that on its own at one side. Right, so I have x plus 7. Bring over the 49 and bring over the single x there, equals minus 14 root x. Okay, so that would be minus 42 equals squaring, or sorry, minus 14 root x. Right, square both sides. You'll have to help me and square 42 for me. 754, thank you. 64. 64, right, equals over this side square 14, I think it's 196. and square root x, you get x. And then divide by 196, so x is equal to 1764 divided by 196, 9? Yeah, x is 9. Is that okay? So that's part 3, and someone asked me for part 4. Can I take it away? Right, part 4. So it's the square root of 3x minus 2 equals the square root of x minus 2 plus 2. So we have two square root signs, one on the left, one on the right, so I don't have to move them. That's the way I want it. Square both sides, so square that side and square this side. Square on this side, you'll get 3x minus 2. Over this side, you'll get the first term squared, so the first term squared is x minus 2. Then you'll get twice the first by the second, which is 4 times the square root of x minus 2. And square the last, you get 4. There's still a square root sign, so I isolate that on its own on the right hand side, everything else over. So I have 3x minus 2 minus x plus 2 minus 4 equals 4 times the square root of x minus 2. Okay, so that would be 2x minus 4, right, equals 4 times the square root of x minus 2. So I need to get rid of that square root sign, so I have to square both sides. Right, square the first, 4x squared, twice the first by the second, which is 16x, square the last plus 16. Over here, the square the 4, I get 16, squared x minus 2, or square root of x minus 2 to be squared is just x minus 2. Okay, multiply now, 4x squared minus 16x plus 16 equals 16x minus 32. Right, tidying all that up, everything to the left. Okay, so I will have 4x squared, 16 by 2. Right, 4x squared, that's minus 32x. As in, there's a minus 16x here, bring over this other 16, it's minus 16, that gives me minus 32. And I plus 16, and then when that comes over, it's plus 32, which is plus 48, equals 0. I can divide across by 4, which makes finding my factors easier. So it's x squared minus 8x plus 12 equals 0. 2 sets of brackets, x and x, 6 and 2, minus and a minus. So you get, sorry, can I move it up? Or can I go like this? So I go x equals 6 and x equals 2. Yeah, and I'm just putting them back in my head up here, and it'll be fine. Both will work, okay? 3 2s are 6, yeah, square root of 4. If that's a 2, square root of 0 is fine. Yeah, both will work, so both are valid answers, okay? So I'm just checking back up at the top in my head. Is that alright? Happy? Right, I also gave you number 7. Am I doing number 7? Right, number 7 is 1 all over the square root of x plus 2 minus 1 all over the square root of 4x plus 8 equals a all over b times the square root of x plus 2. Okay, so basically they want you to tidy it up. Get a common denominator, tidy it up, see what you can do. Before I start, right, okay, in the second, underneath the second square root sign, I spot, right, that you can take out a 4, can't you? So it's 4 bracket x plus 2. Would you agree? Okay, So my rules of thirds says if I have a product, I can give each one its own little square root sign. So x plus 2 minus 1 all over. So I'm going to give the 4 its square root sign, and I'm going to give the x plus 2 its square root sign. Is that okay? Because when I have a product, as in something multiplied by something, I can give each one its own little square root sign. Are we happy with that? Okay, so that would be 1 all over the square root of x plus 2 minus 1 all over, no, the square root of 4 is 2. Is that okay? So now I'm going to get a common denominator, because I have fractions. So my common denominator is going to be 2 times the square root of x plus 2. So there's a square root of x plus 2 there, there's a 2, and there's another square root of x plus 2, but I can just put it there once, it's fine. Okay, so square root of x plus 2 into that goes 2 times, and all of that, 2 times the square root of x goes in once. So it's 2 times whatever is above the line minus 1 times whatever is above the line, which is 2 minus 1, which is 1, all over 2 times the square root of x plus 2. Is that okay? So that's what it can be simplified to. And they said, find the values of a and b. They said a, that was equal to a times b times the square root of x plus 2. So that means a corresponds to 1 and b is 2. Is that okay? Yeah. Right, move up. Are we good?
Where did you get the 2 squared x plus 2 for the common denominator? Where did the first 2 come out?
There. It's in the second. Who's asking me the question? Sorry. Yeah, sorry. It's there. So square root of x plus 2, and then there's a 2 here, and the square root of x plus 2 is already there.
Oh yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Where did you get B?
Where did I get b? B is a number in front of square root of x plus 2.
No,
That's-
where did you get the answer?
In the sum, they told me that it was all equal to a all over b times x plus 2. Right, okay, are we good? Not finished. Then it says all of that equals 2. So the whole lot up here equals to 2. So I've simplified the whole lot to 1 all over 2 times the square root of x plus 2. And they're telling me that equals 2. Right, cross multiply, because I have a fraction equal to a fraction. Cross multiply, 2 by 2 is 4 times the square root of x plus 2 equals 1 times 1, which is 1. Is that okay? Like before, I have a square root sign, so I need to get rid of it. Isolated by itself on one side, it already is. So I can go straight to square on both sides. So square 4, you get 16. Square the square root of x plus 2, you'll just get x plus 2 equals 1 squared. So that's 16x plus 32 equals 1. That means 16x is equal to minus 31, which means x is equal to minus 31 over 16. Good? Never better. Stunned silence, bored silence. We understand everything you just said, silence. I'll go with number 3. Option number 3, I'll go with that. Is that alright? Okay, not easy. Okay, right. Right, the next thing I have to move on to is the factor theorem, girls. And you'll be happy to know that the factor theorem is on the ordinary level course. So hopefully it will be something you're able to do.
Excuse me, please, Clara, Neil, into reception.
Now, what to do? Right, okay. So, the factor theorem, girls. Okay, this is going to lead on to solving cubic equations. Okay? So, it's called the factor theorem. Okay, so this is how we're going to factorize cubic equations and hence solve. So we're going to learn how to factorize cubic equations and then we're going to solve them.
So it's not said anymore.
Sorry, no, surds are done. Yeah, you're all able to do surds now. You're all brilliant at them. Right, so we're going to factorize a cubic equation and hence solve. Okay, what I'm going to write next is just a quadratic equation. Okay, so don't write what I'm writing next. Okay, so you know we had a quadratic equation there a while ago, and we'd say 2x plus 6 equals 0, right? And then we'd factorize that, and we'd say x and x, 2 and 3, a plus and a plus, and then you let each bracket equal 0, x plus 2 equals 0, x plus 3 equals 0, and you get x is minus 2 and x is minus 3. Right, so you would factorize a quadratic equation which has a squared, factorize it and then solve it. Familiar? Yes. Right, okay, we're going to do the exact same. You have to go. Yeah. We're going to do the same thing, right, with a cubic equation. So if I had a cubic equation, for example, if x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12, right, equals 0. I'm going to solve that, and I'm going to say the factors are that. Again, just don't worry about where I come up with the factors in the book actually. Right, x plus 2, x minus 2. We're going to be able to come up with these factors, and then we're going to let each bracket equal 0, and we're going to get x is minus 3, x is minus 2, and x is 2. That's what we're going to do here, right? So from scratch, you're going to say, how do I...
Excuse me, please. Aveen McNamara to reception now. Aveen McNamara.
You're going to get the factors, right? And then you're going to let each bracket equal 0, and you're going to solve. All right? Okay? Right. The first thing you have to do is you have to guess the first answer, right? Right. I say guess, okay? But you're going to... So if I just go back to that one there. So the question is, example 1. Right, so the question is solve x cubed. Oh,
Have you done computers? Yeah, sure.
I do. Yeah. Sorry. X cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12 equals 0. So this is how I go about it. I have to guess what the first factor is. Okay, so you say, I wonder is 1 a solution? So you're guessing the first solution, right? So you see, does 1 work? So everywhere I see an x, I put in a 1. 1, right, okay, plus 3 times 1 to be squared minus 4 times 1 minus 12 into the calculator with that, and that will give you minus 12, and that's clearly is not equal to 0, right? So that's not a solution. 1 is not a solution, right? Okay, then I'm going to try minus 1. So I try 1, and then I try minus 1. So I'm going to go minus 1 to be cubed plus 3 times minus 1 to be squared minus 4 times minus 1 minus 12 into the calculator with that, and I'll end up with minus 1 plus 3 is 2 plus 4 is 6 minus 6. That is clearly not equal to 0, so that minus 1 is not a solution. What will I try next? So I've tried 1, I've tried minus 1, so what will I do now? 2? So you try 2 now. Right, so I have 2, everywhere I see an x, put in a 2. So 2 to be cubed plus 3 times 2 to be squared minus 4 times 2 minus 12 into the calculator. But that's 8 minus 12 minus 4. Yeah, that'll give me 0, won't it? Will it? That's 8 minus 8, and that's 12 minus 12. Yeah, 0. Right, okay. So that means 2 is a solution. 2 is a solution or a root. I'm going to write root because it's only 4 letters. Okay, so that means 2 is a root. So, you know, back here when I solved, right, 2 was an answer. Right, okay. So right, okay, so 2 is a root. So that means x equals 2 was my answer. So what's the factor? Right, if x equals 2 is a root, that means x, bring the 2 back over, x minus 2 is a factor. Okay, x minus 2 is a factor. Agreed? Do you all see where, so if 2 works out, x minus 2 was a factor. It was x minus 2 in one of those brackets. Agreed? Right, now I have to divide my cubic equation, so x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 12. I have to divide that by my factor that I just figured out. Right, so you do, so you do your long division whatever way you want to do your long division. Okay, I'm a big fan of the box method, so I'm doing the box method. Is that okay? But if you do it with the division sign, off you go. Right, they're really the same thing. There's no one quicker than the other. Okay, right, so I'm just doing the box method. So I'm dividing by x minus 2. So I'll put the x cubed in there and put the minus 12 in there. So that would be an x squared, and this would be a plus 6. And these two go together to give me 3x squared. So that would be, this is minus 2x squared. So that would be 5x squared. That would be plus 6x. That would be plus 5x. And then as a check, that's minus 10x. And I'm right. Okay? So when I do my division, and you do it out whichever way you like to do it out, my answer is x squared plus 5x plus 6. Right? Okay? So then I factorize this. So 2 sets of factors, x and x, 2 and 3, a plus and a plus. Is that right? So then they're factors of my cubic equation, and also the one I guessed. The one I guessed using trial and error, right, was x minus 2. Isn't that right? So now I have my cubic equation factorized. Then I let each bracket equal 0. So x equals minus 2, x equals minus 3, and x equals 2 is my answer. Okay? Good? So you guess the first factor, right? Okay, you guess it, right? You guess the first root, you guess the first root. So you try 1, then you try minus 1, then you try 2, then you try minus 2, then you try 3, then you try minus 3, okay?
Excuse me,
right?
please, if Nikita Hannon could go to the homemade kitchen now, please. Thank you.
So it's possible you could go up, something will work eventually, okay? They wouldn't ask you it if something doesn't work, okay? So something will work eventually. So you guess your first root, then you get the factor, you divide by the factor, you get a quadratic which you can factorize, right? And then you'll have your 3 factors and you'll let each bracket equal 0, right? Are we good? Right, I'll do a second example. No, no, this is the way it's done.
Or if it's like 10,
Sorry?
or if it's like 10, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It won't be 10. Right, they wouldn't ask you, it normally works out to be, if you've gone past 5, I would say you made a mistake, go back and have a look. Okay, right, but normally it's a 1, 2 or a 3. Okay, they don't ask you more than that. Example 2.
Isn't we better off to just do it on a calculator? Like, or we're
Yeah,
computer?
yeah, I would. Right, okay. Sorry, I'm frozen again. Example 2. Right, okay, so we'll go with solve 2x cubed plus x squared minus 13x plus 6 equals 0. I just make sure I took it down right. I did. Right, okay, so you start. Right, okay, so you try, is 1 a solution? So f of 1, I'm just saying it's a function. Right, so everywhere you see an x, put in a 1. So it's 2 times 1 to be cubed plus 1 to be squared minus 13 times 1 plus 6 equals 0. Into the calculator with that, that's 2 and 1 is 3, 3, that's minus 4. So that's clearly not a solution. Okay, f of minus 1 is next. So that's 2 times minus 1 to be cubed plus minus 1 to be squared minus 13 times minus 1 plus 6 equals 0. Excuse me. Into the calculator with that, that'll be minus 2 plus 1 is minus 1. That's 4. That's actually 20, I think. That's clearly not equal to 0. Okay? So then you try f of 2. Yeah, I'd say I might have calculated that wrong. Because they say you get something else on the minus 2, 3, 3 plus 13 is 16 plus 6. Now I'm getting a different answer again. What is it?
18.
Thank you. Right, that's actually 18. Not that it makes a difference. Right, okay, then I'm going to try f of 2. So it's 2 times 2 to be cubed plus 2 to be squared minus 13 times 2 plus 6 equals 0. Into the calculator with that, that'll be 16. That's minus 10 plus, yeah, that's 0 equals 0. There you are, there's your solution. 2 is a solution, so what's the factor? If 2 is a solution, what's the factor? X minus 2 is a factor. Okay, so that's the factor theorem bit, right? If 2 is a solution, x minus 2 is a factor. If 3 is a solution, x minus 3 is a factor. If minus 3 is a solution, x plus 3 is a factor. That's the factor theorem bit, okay? Right, so once I have one factor, I do my division, so I get a quadratic equation, and I can factorize that. How am I going for time? I have 5 minutes. Right, okay, great. Okay, so I'm dividing 2x cubed plus x squared minus 13x plus 6 divided by x minus 2, was it? X minus 2, yes. Okay, so again, you do your division whatever way you do it. Okay, so I'm even going to take a shortcut with this. X minus 2, so that's 2x cubed. So that'd be 2x squared minus 4x squared. So that would be 5x squared. That would be plus 5x and minus 2 plus 6 would be a minus 3. Just checking my answer, minus 10x. And that would be minus 3x. Yeah, I'm good. Okay, So my quadratic is 2x squared plus 5x minus 3. Okay, so you do your long division whatever way you do your long division. I'm not reteaching long division to you, right? So two factors are 2x and x, 3 and 1, and that would be a plus and a minus. So there are your factors there. Okay, so my factors of my cubic would be those two that you just got, plus the original one, which was x minus 2. And then to solve, you let each bracket equal 0. So when I let 2x minus 1 equals 0, I get x is a half. X plus 3 equals 0, x is equal to minus 3. X minus 2 equals 0, and you get x is equal to 2. Is that okay? Questions? Right, page 80, question 12. It says to factorize, I want you to solve. Right, okay? So it says factorize all of these, I want you to solve. Right, okay, and I'll stick it up there now.